Well, I want to welcome everybody to the EntreprenHer Show. My name is Heidi Richards Mooney, and I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Lisa Beyer of the Beyer Group. And she's, in addition to being an amazing internet marketer, social media expert, and public relations guru, Lisa is a Golden Mouse honoree for social public relations this year for the Women in E-commerce. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Heidi. I am so honored to be here and honored to be on the list.
Yay! You know, it's so good. I like being on lists too. Good lists anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the bad list.
Yeah, right. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and the type of things that you do.
Sure. So I come from a traditional public relations background, and I was a very early adapter with my agency integrating technology. I had a lot of .com clients right when the internet was kind of bursting and coming out, and even before Google. So I was an early adapter, being in traditional public relations, an early adapter of search marketing. And then I was an early adapter in integrating social media into the fold of public relations. So I was experimenting, using social media to get publicity and using SEO to get more, exposure for my clients in search. So here I am today. I was a little bit ahead of the curve with both SEO and social media. So I found myself having to educate my staff on how to do it, educate the clients on why. So I spend most of my time today in the education mode, conducting workshops and how to use social media and SEO and search marketing to get even more publicity and more visibility for businesses. I also do consulting. I wrote a book, Social PR Secrets, and that's kind of my mix today. I also teach at University of Florida social media management, and I love my students if they're watching.
Yay! Well, hello, students. Well, they may watch the replay. And you know what? That's actually how I met you originally. Was you were speaking at the Florida Direct Marketing Association meeting, and I was just enthralled. I even though I've been doing this a long time, I feel that we could always learn a lot of things. And I took pages and I may still have those notes. If I find them on my desk, I'm going to show you because they were so valuable. Most of the things that you had to say, I had not heard before. Many, many great tips. And I love PR. So thank you for being with us today. And you mentioned about you're an early adopter. I love that. So when you found out social media was a great place for PR, what would you say was the first channel that you really embraced in terms of the social media channels for promoting people online?
Well, I mean, the very first was MySpace, even though it didn't really last that long, but I did start experimenting using that, really just experimental for my own personal brand, my agency. And then, I thought, okay, if it's going to work for me and work for my agency, then it might work for other businesses. But while that was all happening, of course, Facebook came onto the scene and that kind of took over. And so right away started using Facebook as a way to leverage exposure for my clients and also for my own agency. And, I was right when things first started coming out with Facebook, right when it was available, right when pages were available, even before business pages were technically business pages, I was out there using it to leverage. So, that was really the first, channel that was the most opportunity. And since then, as you know, it's just exploded into so many different channels. And with mobile coming into the scene now, mobile is a huge factor when it comes to public relations and social media.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think that you hit so many, we could talk about this all day. So let's talk a little bit about the Beyer Group and how it helps companies and individuals build their audience and measure results. I think that's one of the biggest concerns these days. And just people probably more than anything when it comes to social media want to know how do you measure results when it comes to social public relations?
That's a great question, Heidi, and it's been the $1 million question since public relations first started. Public relations used to be very, very difficult to measure, and it was extremely challenging. And either you were a business that believed in it and you were dedicated and committed to that public relations path as part of your marketing, or you weren't. And if you weren't dedicated and you were just going to test it for a month or two, most likely you weren't going to see the results, because the bottom line with public relations and even social public relations, it's very difficult to get that immediate gratification. It's possible to get that, lucky hit and, get quick exposure, but typically it's it's a month-to-month commitment, year-to-year commitment. With social public relations, it's made things a little bit easier, probably a lot easier to measure, because now we have the digital advantages of using things like Google Analytics, and we can see where referring traffic is coming from. If they're coming from sources such as the Huffington Post or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the Sun Sentinel or the Miami Herald, we can tell when we get a story, and we can show our clients, look, this was coverage that we received, editorial coverage in this publication, and this is the traffic it brought into your website or to your blog because of that exposure. So we have concrete ways to measure more than we ever had before. And now with social media and the opportunity to get shared, now you're not just getting the coverage of, let's say, the Miami Herald, but that story is then getting shared by the readers of that story to their audiences, and so on and so on. So it really just causes this domino effect, and the domino effect can be measured by different sources, Google Analytics, by your Facebook Insights, by the different channels depending on what you're using, the insights and analytics. And I think, Heidi, the biggest tip that I can give is that it's important for social media and public relations professionals and brands to measure what matters to their brand. So we can just spend all day looking at numbers and statistics and data from all these different free tools, and we can, let's face it, we can make anything look good if we wanted to, but we have to make sure that the numbers we're presenting are numbers that match up with the business goals and objectives. So it's what matters at to the bottom line of that brand. And that's what you have to connect.
Right. So what would be some of the goals in addition to impressions and, all those buzzwords that you hear? What would be some of the goals people might have for public relations?
So, for example, if you're a local business, let's say you're a plastic surgeon or you have a medical office and you're looking for prospects/patients. So one of those goals could be you want to collect email signups. You want to collect email addresses, and you can measure that by connecting your constant contact and looking, okay, we did this marketing piece, we did this social media piece, we did this public relations piece. Did we get more email signups because of it? So that's like a hard thing to measure. Hard meaning it's not soft, it's something that's concrete, right? Or it could be specific quality traffic to your website that wouldn't have come there if it wasn't for that coverage. So those types of things that matter to the CEO, and of course sales. Did you increase sales? If you're a local business or any type of online e-commerce type of business, did you sell anything because of that traffic? And that can easily be tracked with Google Analytics and using Google Analytics goals.
And your bank account.
Exactly. But
if you're a small business, you probably just go to your bank account every day and go, oh, geez, I got more sales.
Yeah, but chances are with sales, though, it's hard because chances are somebody's not going to come the first time to your website and buy something at that moment. Usually there's a cycle, and we want to look and make sure that public relations, social media is part of that cycle. So you started it, you introduced the audience to your brand and started that cycle, because chances are they're going to come via social media, then they're going to come back again via, maybe they saw a search result, or maybe they saw something that triggered them to go back, or they saved it. So it's going to take a couple, several cycles to actually get somebody to take the action, the ultimate action that you want to be taken. So keeping in mind that public relations is part of the process and it's not the end all be all.
Sorry about that. I had to turn my light on. I realized how dark I was looking. I'm going, oh my gosh. So, yeah, everybody's a media professional today. If you think about it, every person, we're all doing social media, whether we're sharing other people's content, like a retweet, or I think that you brought up a good point about it's not just about what we do as professionals, you and I, and what the companies do on their ends, but it's all those people who are their fans and followers and what they're doing. And might be a little more difficult to measure, but I think it's probably a lot more quantifiable in the end, right? Would you say?
Right. And I think one of the trends was, okay, how many followers do we have? How many fans do we have on Facebook? And that kind of statistic is kind of, is not really the realistic statistic to look at as far as measuring progress, because you can buy fans. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, and whether or not your followers are quality followers, or whether or not the traffic that's coming to your website or blogs is quality traffic. So you can have 300 visitors to your blog, but if all of them spent, less than 5 seconds on your blog, what good is it? You want visitors that are actually getting to your owned property, your blog or your website, and spending time there and doing something that you want them to do, serving them.
Yeah, reading your articles, looking at pages, et cetera, which is why I love Google Analytics, because you can see how long they spend on every single page. You can see how many page views, and I think that people are afraid of that, but they really need to embrace it, whether they hire someone to do that for them or they learn to do it themselves. I think those are really important things that they need to do. So let's talk about some of the ways companies can brand online with digital public relations.
Sure. So just a real easy example would be to make sure that you use your brand name when it comes to doing any type of company news, press releases, making sure that if somebody, reporters, journalists, they are using Google, they're using Facebook, they're using LinkedIn, they're using Twitter to find story ideas. So you want to make sure that your news, your company news, is being reported using the keywords, including your brand name, including certain keywords that reporter might be looking for to do a story. So just making sure that you're optimizing all of your content, your public relations content, with your keyword phrases, including your brand keyword name. So for example, when I put something out, I want to make sure that Lisa Buyer is in the title, or that the Buyer Group and social PR is in the title. So just, it's going to be different for every business, but public relations professionals, 5 to 10 years ago and still today, they don't really focus on that real nitty-gritty content, that the newsworthiness. And we're used to doing stuff that's a tiny bit fluffy, tiny bit marketing-esque, and really just, kind of changing that mindset to be more of the facts and making sure that you're getting all of that important information up front in 140 characters or less.
Exactly. Oh, and that's pretty true on every channel. People have such short attention spans. I think Twitter really hit the nail on the head when they came on the scene, because they realized that that's exactly how we think, is in sound bites. And when you give too much information, it's kind of like I hear people and they're just espousing. They go on and on about a topic, and people mostly tune you out after the first minute. So I'll shut up.
Oh yeah. Well, I proof stuff all the time. I edit stuff all the time. I look at my students, their papers, and for the most part, they're awesome. But it's what I try to teach my students, and even just in business communication writing, is that get to the bottom line quick. People don't have time, especially reporters, especially your audience. They don't want to try to figure out what you're trying to say. Say it up front, quick, to the point, get it across.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that's the way I tend to write, is you tell it up front what it is you want them to know, and then you can always use supporting information to magnify that point you're trying to make. I read an interesting article. I don't remember if it was on HubSpot or one of those sites, where it was talking about that the longer the article, for instance, like a blog post, the more chances of it going viral. That the top the number for viral articles is something like 3,000 words.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Surprised me, because I try to write under 800 words all the time, just because I get bored with writing about the same thing over and over again. I know I might put bullet points and stuff. So what do you think about that? What would you say about that?
Well, I think that I saw that same article. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that maybe the sound bites that's used to get the exposure for it. So if you're super clarified as far as what you can expect in that longer article, and that longer article is telling a story, I think that is part of it. That's why it's going viral, because of the topic and how it's being told.
Yeah. And the how-tos, I think, be a little longer. I kind of found it a little surprising from my own perspective. I tend to not read those long articles, but I guess I'm the exception, because I make short and to the point. So let's talk a little bit about the book you mentioned earlier, Social PR Secrets, that you wrote, and tell us some of those secrets.
Sure. So I wrote the book a couple of years ago, and I just came out with the second edition just a year ago now, and I was actually thinking this morning I'm going to have to write a third edition, because now with Periscope and Meerkat and now Blab, that could be a whole new chapter. So I probably have like 3 more chapters to add. But some of my social PR secrets, I think one of my favorite ones that is pretty broad, but people tend to forget, is that when you're looking at the journalist and trying to still create a relationship with the journalist, we forget that to give back to them in between the times that we don't need them. And that can be applied to not just journalists, but our audience, whether it's our followers, the people that we're interacting with. So to first think, just to always remember to be giving back. And then when you need something, for example, from a journalist, a story, they're going to be there for you. But if you're constantly sharing their stories out with your audience and giving back and helping them with things that they don't necessarily have to do with you, they're going to recognize that, and they're going to be there then when you need something from them.
Well, that's a great point. So Lisa, what's some of the biggest mistakes that you see organizations make when it comes to social PR?
I think there's a couple. I mean, one of the broad mistakes would be that, for example, public relations professionals don't integrate social media and SEO the way that it really could be leveraged in the best interest of the brands, of the businesses. And SEO and social media professionals don't embrace public relations in the way that could be used in the best interest of the brand. So I think there's still kind of, people are working in these different teams. So PR team is here, SEO team is here, social media team is here, but they're not working as one team. They're working in 3 separate teams. So when it starts to cross over more, which it's getting better, but it's almost like this ownership thing. Well, we own PR. Well, we own search marketing. We own social media. When there's so much overlap and so much advantage to working together in the name of the business, the brand, or the client that you're working for. So that's one that I see happening still a lot. And another, specifically with Facebook, is Facebook is the big deal when it comes to social media, and for a good reason, because it has the most opportunity. But what happens is, and this isn't just with public relations professionals, but also just in general in marketing, is that you're not educating yourself in how to work the system within Facebook and how to really work it with public relations and work it to your advantage. So they just try kind of blindly and then say, oh, this is terrible, this doesn't work, Facebook is just trying to take my money, and they just give up and they waste a lot of money and they don't get any results, and they move on to something different, versus really trying to dedicate and making sure that they're hiring somebody that is very experienced with Facebook that can leverage the huge opportunity that Facebook offers.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I think that I've had clients who just want to put out ads, and they don't realize that there are different venues that work better for different types of ads. And so you have to be able to really make that specific to the market. And that's with any social media, I believe. So those are great secrets, Lisa. Thank you. So I understand you have a tip or resource of the week. Would you like to share that with our audience?
Sure, I would. So I think I'm getting ready for PubCon, so I have all of these different tips kind of like in my brain. But I think one of my favorites this week is, I don't know if anybody uses Muckrack, but I've been using Muckrack a lot lately, and it's a great source to help you find the right journalist for your story in a very social way. So mobile, social, those are the keywords right now when it comes to public relations. And the journalists they're out there, and they're on social media, and social media is basically in the palm of your hand. So is every story. So I love Muckrack because it really puts you together with the right journalist, with the right topic, and to get your story out there. And like I said, that tip I said earlier about giving back to the journalist, Muckrack makes it very easy to give back to the journalist, because you could see all of their conversations, what's happening related to different topics.
So Muckrack, how do you spell that?
Muckrack.
And it's at muckrack.com?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, they've been around for about
I want to make sure
7 years. They were a very early adopter, getting journalists together on social media and kind of then bringing the journalists together with the public relations professionals in a very, like I said, social way.
So Muck Rack is like a social network for journalists, if you will.
It is. So journalists can set up a profile on Muck Rack, and it's a way for journalists to stay connected. It's also a way for public relations professionals to connect with the right journalists.
So what makes that different than, say, for instance, Pitch Rate, which was one of the first ones that I remember participating in, and then the one by Steve Harrison. I can't remember what that one was called. There was 3 or 4 of them, and now I think Pitch Rate is still on, but I don't really go into any of them any longer.
Well, I would. Yeah, I would. I'm not sure. I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of in the same category as like a Bulldog Reporter or Cision.
Oh, okay. I know Bulldog Reporter.
Yeah, like a directory of, it's like when you're trying to build a media list, you would use something along those lines. Where this takes it one step further in a very social way, so you can easily find out, what topics they're talking about on social media. Like, for example, I'm working with a client right now on Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con is in 2 weeks, and that's the big comic book conference. So I'm trying to find out who's talking about Comic-Con specifically with journalists, or specifically, let's say, at the Today Show, who's talking about Comic-Con. So it's I can go in there and build media lists that way, and in a very, like socially driven way, like looking up hashtags and things like that. Where you can still do that without Muck Rack, but it's very intensive and manual.
No, I think this is a great, and I think, it's kind of like Blab. These type of websites that make your job so much easier. You don't have to use like 3 different things to get the job done. I think it's really nice. So thank you for that tip. I didn't know about Muck Rack. I have such a huge media journalist list from my magazine, because years ago I used Pitch Rate, and I'm trying to remember what Steve Harrison's was called, and I was on almost all of those sites where you would be like a media person, and you would look for art people writing or other media people who wanted to promote their clients. Mm-hmm. And I've got probably 500 media professionals, and 150 of them consistently send me stuff every month. So I think these tools are really important, because not that I suggest people be their own PR people, although you can be the best at it if that's mm-hmm. what you do. I think it's important to also consider professionals when it comes to PR and media, because of the fact that they know the nuances, as you do. You know what people are looking for. You know how to position it in the right way, whereas I might send out, not me, but maybe someone like me might send out a media release and totally miss the mark, and nobody's going to be interested. It could be the wrong headline. It could not have the right details in it. And there's so many different things to consider that I don't think people do,
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have any events or anything exciting? Obviously you do, PubCon.
Yes.
A lot of other stuff.
So PubCon is next week, and I'm going to be teaching the social media management workshop, which is a full-day workshop with 2 other awesome speakers, Melissa Foch and Jabez Lebre. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm speaking on different panels throughout the regular conference. It's in Las Vegas. And then I am also speaking at PRSA with one of the professors at UF. We're talking on a panel about using visual communications, using tools like Canva, which I'm sure you've heard of. That is just awesome. And I'm also going to be speaking at another conference it was formerly called SMX Social, and now it's called Social Pro. And that's going to be in November out in Las Vegas by Search Engine Land and Third Door Media put that on. And that's an incredible conference. That's like pure social media. Speakers that are going to be talking about using Instagram and just really getting down and dirty with using social media, of course, Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to be on a LinkedIn panel, a Facebook panel, and I'm teaching the social advertising bootcamp. So that's actually another topic, Heidi, that if somebody would have said to me 5 years ago, Lisa, you're going to be teaching a social advertising workshop, I'd be like, public relations doesn't believe in advertising. That's like church and state. You're crazy. But it's so important to help get you that reach and exposure, is to supplement your public relations effort with social advertising the right way, which there's a lot of businesses doing it wrong. So I'm teaching a boot camp workshop on that, believe it or not. But I'm a believer now in social advertising.
Social advertising, like Facebook ads and Twitter ads and things like that.
Right. So using Facebook ads and using Twitter ads to gain more exposure, more public relations exposure and visibility that will meet your business goals and objectives.
Excellent. So Mr. Wonderful, or E-Boy actually says, do you know a good site to pitch my editorial art?
When you say editorial art, give me an example.
If you want to type it in there, if you'd like to come into the room, I'll be happy to, we have an open seat for you. Oh, here he goes, Mr. Wonderful.
Hello.
Thank you for being with us.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I create like editorial art. Like I did some stuff for when the Egyptian protest was going on, and like and the police conflicts. New topical stuff for historical art.
So when you say art, like illustrations?
Yeah, illustrations.
Okay.
Stuff that matches a story. I was doing some stuff in New York for historical buildings, so I illustrate architecture. You know, if a journalist has a story and then they want to complement it with a piece of art, either abstract or more timely, or
that's cool.
That is.
I would say off the top of my head, have you reached out to like Getty Images, things like in sources like Getty or 123RF?
No, isn't that more stock footage type of stuff?
They have editorial too. I use 123RF and they have pure editorial. I mean, it might not be it sounds like the stuff you're working on is very timely, newsworthy things that are happening, like current events.
Yeah, I try to, I'm sorry, 123F?
123RF.
I have it up in the, I'm posting it because I use that too.
Yeah, stuff that, I think the thing about stock footage is that, anyone could grab it. So you could have a story and then I have a picture and someone else could have a story completely different with the same picture. So I think you try to personalize the story.
Oh yeah, I hate stock photography.
Yeah.
So you're talking custom art that you do specifically, like it's a one-off type thing, not really something that you would be selling to the masses.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're looking for places to get people to hear about your stock art. Not your editorial art, and then.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Here's something I did for a pitch for. Let me see if I could taste it. For the New York Times Magazine. So it was for a story about Watts back in the '60s. So I try to do stuff that's dynamic, and I think if you want a story, then it has to be kind of bold and eye-grabbing. So if you had, like, say, someone has a story, like I said, I did something for the Egyptian protests about a year or so ago for a social site. And that got a lot of positive reviews. So, it's intense, bold. Hopefully. So I'm always looking for a place to pitch my art for stories for journalists. I use Harpo. Do you know that one? Help a reporter out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one, Harpo. That was the other one besides Pitch Rate. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, that one is hit or miss, but it's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. I'll have to think about it, and we'll exchange emails or something. And but I was going to tell you that my book, this is Social PR Secrets, and you can see this little the girl. I had an artist do this for me, and I used the girl. The illustrations are, different illustration represents the beginning of each chapter.
Right.
Yeah, and what made me think of it when you were asking me about that is that, as far as a tip, is that stock photography is just completely, when it comes to matching social media and PR and search marketing, is completely out. I think you have a great service that more and more people are going to be jumping on the bandwagon. So I'm sure your business is going to skyrocket. You're in the right business right now, because customizing whatever you're doing and making that investment is so important to the exposure, because somebody doesn't want to see a stock image in the social media feed that they saw, 2 days ago with another company that, it doesn't, there's no connection. So really personalizing your artwork is so important. And I think, you should explore, I'm going to help you find some sources. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'll ask my artist if she knows of any. She doesn't do exactly what you're doing. She's an illustrator, but she's not targeting on the spot special current event type of journalism like you are, which I think that's awesome. I think that there's a huge need for that, just from editorial, from brands too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like you said. I mean, I was in New York a few months ago, and I actually saw, on the subway banners, the same stock photo for 2 different ads.
Yeah.
Well,
it gets old.
That's true. Hey, is the New Yorker still around? Would that be a possible company? Are they still around? Because I know they're all illustrations. I don't know who does the illustrations or.
Yeah, I pitched them, but they're pretty persnippety. But I do architecture.
Don't give up.
I can't.
Pitching them, right? I mean, Lisa, what did you mention at the beginning? It's not a one-hit wonder. You have to continually be in their face, because a lot of people
building their relationship.
They don't need you today, but maybe next week they will. Some big story. I mean, you know what I would do? I would, and I'm sure there's a ton of them. Is I'd make some really cool ones with Donald Trump, because he seems to be.
I did one for Donald Trump, actually.
Doing he's like overwhelming the media right now. What's that saying? He who something the media owns the media. I can't remember what that is.
Something like that. Well, I mean, I think today there's so much stuff going on that you have to have something that is different. I mean, your stock photos are just like the same stuff with pretty people like smiling. It's a little boring, and and then who can't get the same picture? It's like, I can get the same picture that you have. What's the difference? I mean,
right.
Yeah. Right. That's definitely one of my biggest social PR secret tips, is to try to get original artwork. Just the investment I made in the artwork for this book has come back to me, tenfold, because I've been able to use the artwork for blog posts. I've been able to use the artwork for all different types of social promotions that I'm doing, because it's different. Nobody's going to have that same artwork. I could have,
it could really define you as who you are, and then people, if it's engaging, then and when you have a book, it's kind of like it's a part of you. You have that book with you, and the picture is as closely related as the book is. Like, there's the book, there's the picture. I see it every day. It's like, I love the picture.
I totally agree.
And Lisa, the fact is, it has brand you, because no one else has that. If you're using that on everything, then everybody knows that's your stuff.
Right.
Pretty soon they see the graphics and they go, "Oh, that's a Lisa Buyer." Automatic,
right.
Kind of like fine art, How, Lisa, what do you think about places like Fiverr and Upwork? And-
I was going to actually recommend Fiverr, but I mean, it's a place to start out and at least meet people that might need you, and it's you might not get paid as much as you ultimately want to get paid the first time, but it could be like a trial thing. Like, here, I'll do the first couple for you through Fiverr, and then after that, these Fiverr's only for my first time customers type thing.
Yeah, Fiverr is kind of hit or miss. I mean,
what was the other one, Heidi, that you said?
Upwork, Elance. I think Elance. It's called Upwork. I don't know.
It's kind of like a needle in a haystack. I've used it a couple times. I have used Fiverr very successfully for a variety of different things, but you have to just know what you're getting into and be very, kind of keep the scope of work very specific. And it's worth it. I've used 99 Designs too. Yeah. I don't know if that's
99 Designs. Yeah.
That was a little bit more. That's a little nicer site, so I'm on that one as well. Well, thanks for your tips. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you have to keep doing what you're doing, because it's definitely something that's the big thing right now, that more and more people you're going to be more and more in demand.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're almost out of time, and I don't even know what time it is, but it feels like we are. Yes. No, we're good. How are you doing on time, Lisa?
I'm good. I have another meeting in about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm here for you.
Let me ask you 2 more questions, and then if anybody else has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box, or if you want to sit in the open seat, where we'd love to have you. So let's ask, where do your best ideas come from, Lisa?
My best ideas come from, and might sound crazy or you might understand it, but my best ideas come from when I'm actually away from my desk, away from my computer, and either on the treadmill or walking or doing some sort of physical activity. I love to do yoga. So not necessarily do my ideas come to me while I'm doing yoga, but it helps really stimulate the creativity in the brain. And actually my next book that I'm working on, it's called Space, How to Create Space in Your Life for Opportunity. And it covers different topics, health, relationships, work, even your home office decor or your home decor, your living environment, and how, I'm sure you've seen, the show with the hoarders and how it's really an unhealthy lifestyle. So, I mean, the same can be applied to whatever you're doing in life. So if you're working 24/7, which it's hard not to with the internet and everything, you're leaving very little space for opportunity for ideas. So by taking that break, taking that walk, giving yourself 5 minutes, you can really open yourself up to opportunities of creativity coming in and coming up with ideas.
Such great advice. I think it's kind of like opening our minds. When we stop focusing on one thing, we can open our minds to other ideas. So you're right. So what's your favorite website?
My favorite website right now, and it changes, but my favorite website for work is BuzzFeed. And BuzzFeed is an example of a website where if I'm looking for just to like kind of stimulate my brain or say, okay, like what are some ideas on headlines or what are some topics and how did they approach it? They're doing a lot right. They just got a big, huge investment from NBC. I interviewed the creative director of BuzzFeed for my class, and there's a lot of inspiration and ideas you can get. Not that you would do everything 100% like BuzzFeed does it, but when it comes to content and how they approach content and how they attract social sharing, I mean, they know what they're doing.
Absolutely. Great, great, great. I have one of my favorites too. I couldn't say it's my top favorite. I don't even know if I have a favorite. Jenny had a comment that she's struggling finding good PR help for a small business. Local or online is fine, but it is outside her expertise and she needs help. And she's sorry she's late for being on the blog. Jenny, we're so excited you're here and don't worry about it. Next time we have a thing, we'll make sure we publish it a little bit more so that people know. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, Jenny, where is your business? Is it in Florida? So regardless of where it is, I would look for PR help from interns that are a senior or recently graduated with a degree in public relations, especially for small businesses on a small budget. So that would be one, or to look for a small agency that is, maybe a very boutique agency that targets small businesses. Good. Where did she say she is? Oh, she's in San Diego. Because I was going to say, if you are in Florida, I would recommend going to University of Florida. We have great interns. My students are amazing, and I'm constantly recommending them.
Excellent, excellent. Hi, RD Sales Training. Welcome, and welcome everybody, even those of you who were able to join us kind of toward the end. We appreciate everybody for being here. So, Lisa, I think we have one more question or two, and so I guess the next question is, do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share with the group?
Well, a couple of them that I had mentioned, SMX Social, which is Social Pro. But one topic, Heidi, that we didn't cover that I think was that's important to talk about when you're talking about public relations, social media, and search marketing, and that's reputation management. Yes. And that is a huge example of, especially with startups and small businesses, where I say it's easy. It's easier to be proactive, to really secure your online reputation in a very positive way than to not pay attention to it, not do anything about it. And then something happens where you get complaints on Yelp or somebody writes a bad review that shows up in a Google search. And it is so difficult to all of a sudden try to react to that and push that down and fix that if you haven't done anything proactive to begin with. So from a public relations standpoint, paying attention to sites like Yelp, paying attention to trying to make sure that you've optimized all of your social media profiles that matter, and that are easy: Facebook, business pages, LinkedIn, company pages, your Twitter profile for your brand name, so that when you do a search on Google for your brand name, those search results are showing up. And in the event you do get a bad review or something negative does happen, then at least you're sprinkled in with positive results and not just that one glaring negative. And that's what I see with startups right away happening, is that, they're focusing on a lot of different things at once, and to make sure that you're preserving and securing your reputation in a very proactive way.
Yeah, and we're out there now. We're all celebrities in some degree because everybody, the definition I heard of a celebrity is people who know you that you don't know. So when it comes to social media, we are all, mini celebrities. And my mother used to say, the one thing you need to guard with your life is your reputation. So I definitely agree. So thank you for that. I wanted to quickly say again, congratulations on your recent wedding, because I forgot to mention that at the beginning. We're very excited. It's always good when some wonderful thing like that event happens in your life. And I loved watching it unfold on Facebook. I saw a lot of people posted. It was a very fun summer. So yeah, wonderful. So how can our audience get in touch with you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter. I share a lot of what I feel is very helpful content from a social media and public relations standpoint. So I'm at Lisa Buyer. Instagram, I kind of blend a little bit of personal and also professional, and also LinkedIn. So connect me. Those are the best places from a professional standpoint to meet up with me.
Excellent. Well, Lisa, I just wanted to say thank you again for being with us today. I know you have another event.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and thank goodness the technology worked. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a replay of this. So if you didn't get to listen to the very beginning, you'll get to listen to the replay. And I just want to mention two things. The Golden Mouse Awards for Women in E-Commerce is coming up on October 29th at the Tower Club in Fort Lauderdale. Lisa is one of 15 of our honorees. So over the next few, social PR. So we'll be honoring Lisa and 14 other amazing women in South Florida on October 29th at a luncheon. And my company is Redhead Marketing. My motto is simple, results-driven social media marketing, training, and consulting. And I'm a huge fan of Lisa. So Lisa, thank you so much. Last thing,
thank you, Heidi.
Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I have Dr. Gail Carson. She was last year's Lifetime Achievement honoree for the Golden Mouse. She's got a company called Spunky Old Broads. She's an amazing leader, and hopefully we'll get to see you all on many other shows. And again, Lisa, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Heidi.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.